Let me introduce myself. My name is Joseph Castro. I'm one of 9 children from Mike and Dora. I grew up 4 blocks away from this church on Holbrook Street. My earliest recollection of this church was Father Joseph. And of course at that time, it was the Latin Mass. That didn't last, of course, after Vatican II. We went to the modern day Mass as it is today. And that was performed by Father Martin Arno, who was responsible for moving this parish hall. And for years and years, I've just known it as Martin Hall. But he was a wonderful priest. And he took care of not only Saint Scholastica, Immaculate Conception, and of course, St. John the Baptist. Yes, now, I don't know about my recollection about St. Teresa's. He might have filled in there at St. Teresa every now and then, but he was a good enough priest to do that. He was a very giving, thoughtful priest, a very traditionalist priest. Before the renovation, across the church there, it was much smaller, of course. Our capacity is 55, 60 maybe. Back then it was maybe 45. And so it was a very small parish, to say the least. And I can recount a lot of the parishioners: Mary Brown, Mary Miller, the Heps, the Arnesons, the Muirs, the Martinezes, the Cardenases, the Frescuses, and they were all wonderful people, very wonderful. Mr. McWilliams was responsible for warming the church before Mass. And he did a wonderful job. It was quite welcome, I might add, coming from outside, especially in the winter and the cold spring times. And so he took care of that. He was very diligent. Mr. Mike James, he served the parish in the usher capacity. Wonderful parishioner. And so those were fond memories that I have of them. And of course, my parents, Mom and Dad, they had no formal education, of course. But the one thing they passed on to us was the gift of our faith. That's how we learned, on the laps of our mothers. And I'm sure that's the story of many of the people my age. We learn on the laps of our mothers. So, but oddly enough, one of the things that I really remember that stands out in my mind, what this parish has given to me, this parish has given much more to me than I can ever repay. But it happened about 4 years ago. I related to Father Rob how I came from a family of 9. The oldest died before she was 3 years old. Mom and Dad didn't talk much about it. And of course my other siblings that came after her, They didn't know what kind of funeral service was given to her. She was buried up at Mountain View in Erie, in the paupers field for children. And so I kind of sought Father's counsel. And I says, Father, I don't know if she had any kind of burial rite. And I sought his counsel and I asked him, give me your thoughts. I says, do you think that now's the time for a graveside service for her? I said, she's waited all these years. He says, I get it. I get it. So just like Father Rob, cold, some spring day, wind blowing, snowing. He says, are we going to do it now? I says, let's do it. He jumped in his car, he got his priestly vestments. We went up to the gravesite and he performed a beautiful ceremony for her. My older sister, but I always remember her as my baby sister. So those are some of the fond recollections I have of the church. I'll say it again, that this church has given me far more than I've ever been able to give back. The church today is a modern day furnace, heating and cooling. Back then, back in the day, it was all heated by wood and coal. And of course, Mr. McWilliams, very diligent parishioner, he took care of heating the church. You know, he probably came over early, 45 an hour, and stoked up the furnace, the coal and wood fired furnaces. At that time when we came in the church, we knew, wear your coat, keep your coat on, because it's going to be chilly, it's going to be cold. And of course here Martin Hall, where I had catechism, where I attended catechism classes here, there was not any heat. There wasn't any heat. Not much of any heat at all. But the instructors came from Regis. They were students there. And of course, I don't know how much we paid attention. It was kind of a social hour more than learning the faith. But thank God for mothers. And that's how I learned most of my faith. And of course, the faith is definitely, you never stop growing in your faith. Ever, ever, ever. I don't care how old you are, how young or old. You're always growing in your faith. And it's been wonderful. And for that I thank God for my faith. I cherish the Holy Catholic and Apostolic Church, which is the Catholic Church, the one true faith. Thank you so much.